Not everyone will understand your vision. One of the greatest mistakes people make when they get inspired or come up with a new idea is running to tell the world. It's natural. We're excited, we feel the fire, and we want someone to affirm us. But here's the truth. Not everyone will understand your vision, and some people are not meant to. Your dream was not given to a committee. It wasn't distributed to your friends or your family. It was placed inside you and you alone. That means you carry a responsibility to protect it, even when others don't see it clearly. Imagine planting a seed. When it's first in the ground, it's hidden, vulnerable, and small. You don't go around digging it up every day to show people and ask, do you think this will grow? That's how you kill it. You protect it, water it, give it time, and let it rise silently through the soil. In the same way, your vision needs privacy in its early stages. Telling everyone too soon is like digging up your seed. What it needs is nurturing. Away from criticism, away from doubt, away from careless opinions. The reality is that people interpret your vision through the lens of their own experiences. Someone who has failed repeatedly might say, that'll never work. Someone who has never taken risks might tell you, you're being unrealistic. Their words are often more about their own limitations than your potential. But if you're not careful, you will start to adopt their thinking. You'll begin shrinking your vision to fit into their comfort zone. That's how many dreams die, not because they were impossible, but because they were exposed too soon to the wrong audience. Another reason not everyone will understand your vision is because it challenges what they know. Vision is futuristic, it's disruptive, it doesn't always make sense in the beginning. People are more comfortable with what's proven, familiar, and safe. So when you present something new, something bold, something different, it threatens their sense of normal. That's when the resistance comes. Not because your idea is bad, but because it demands a shift in perspective that not everyone is willing to make. This is where self-belief becomes critical. If your vision requires approval before you act, you're not really leading. It means you're seeking validation. Leaders don't need everyone to agree. They move forward with conviction, even when others don't get it. The most successful people in the world weren't understood in the beginning. When they spoke, people laughed. When they worked, people doubted. But when the results came, those same people clapped. This is the cycle. Rejection, resistance, results, and then respect. Now, this doesn't mean you should isolate yourself completely. It's good to have mentors, a few trusted voices who believe in you and can give you wise guidance. But there's a difference between a coach and a crowd. A coach wants you to grow. A crowd wants to be entertained. A coach will challenge you. A crowd will criticize you. Learn to know the difference. Don't give your dream to people who have no intention of watering it. You also have to understand timing. Some visions are like mountains. They take years to build. But if you talk too soon, you create expectations you're not yet ready to meet. People will ask, where's the result? And pressure you before the process is complete. This can lead to discouragement and doubt. But when you move quietly and strategically, you give yourself room to grow at your own pace without the noise of unnecessary opinions. Lastly, don't take it personally when people don't understand your vision. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean you're crazy. It might just mean you're early. Pioneers always seem strange until what they build becomes the new normal. So let them laugh. Let them doubt. Let them walk away. It's not your job to convince everyone. It's your job to build what you saw. In the end, success is the most powerful answer. When the vision becomes visible, when the results are undeniable, the same people who didn't understand will come around. Some will support, some will apologize. Others will stay silent, but by then you realize their understanding was never necessary in the first place. Your vision is your responsibility. Protect it, feed it, build it, and remember, just because they don't see it doesn't mean it's not real. Talking drains energy. Building creates impact. There's a subtle trap that many people fall into when they get inspired. They talk. A lot. They speak passionately about their goals, their big plans, their future moves. They tell everyone what they're going to do. At first glance, it seems harmless, natural even. But here's what many don't realize. The more you talk about your plans, the less you actually do. Words are powerful, but when overused and underbacked by action, they become empty. Talking can feel productive. It gives you a sense of accomplishment, a rush of excitement, like you're making progress, but you're not. You're just describing the journey without ever starting it. And that is one of the most deceptive forms of procrastination. When you talk too much about your goals, you trick your brain into feeling like you've already achieved something. It's like announcing that you run a marathon before you've even tied your shoes. That announcement brings temporary attention, maybe even applause, but attention doesn't equal achievement. You haven't done anything yet. You've just advertised something that doesn't exist. Every word you speak takes energy. It requires mental focus, emotional investment, and time. If all that energy goes into announcing, debating, or defending your dream, then very little is left to actually build it. What you say doesn't move the world. What you do does. People don't follow words, they follow results. If your life is filled with big talk and small action, your credibility will shrink every time you speak. You're sharpening the idea, you're making it better. But if you're shouting your vision from the rooftops every chance you get, hoping for praise or validation, then you've stepped into dangerous territory. The more energy you spend proving your potential, the less energy you have to fulfill it. Real builders are often quiet in the early stages. They're too busy designing, developing, testing, learning, and adapting. While others are talking, they are doing. They understand that the world doesn't reward promises, it rewards results. When you show the world what you've built, that's when people pay attention. That's when your name starts to carry weight, not because of what you said, but because of what you delivered. There's another important truth to understand. Talking exposes your ideas to the opinions of others, and not all opinions are useful. When you share your vision too soon, you invite critique from people who have no context, no experience, and sometimes no good intentions. They'll tear it down before it's had a chance to grow. This can discourage you or cause you to second guess yourself. And once doubt enters your mind, momentum slows down. Building, on the other hand, builds you. When you engage in the work, when you wake up early, stay up late, study, practice, and execute, you grow in confidence and clarity. You stop needing people to validate your direction because your actions start producing small wins, and those wins reinforce your belief. You don't need applause when you have progress. Every step forward becomes proof that the vision is real and worth pursuing. Impact doesn't come from intention. Everyone has good intentions. Everyone wants to win, to succeed, to do something great, but very few people turn that intention into consistent action. The builders, the quiet grinders, the ones who don't waste time trying to impress others, those are the ones who eventually make the biggest impact. They speak less and do more. And when they finally speak, it's with authority because they have evidence to back it up. So the next time you're tempted to tell everyone about what you're planning to do, stop and ask yourself, have I earned the right to speak about this yet? Have I put in the work? Have I started building? If the answer is no, go back to the drawing board. Go back to the work. Let your actions do the talking. Because in the end, what you build is what people will remember. Not the promise, but the product. Not the speech, but the solution. So protect your energy, guard your focus, and let your impact speak louder than your voice. Silence protects momentum. Momentum is one of the most valuable forces in the journey towards success. It's that inner drive, that forward motion that builds with each small win, each completed task, and each step taken in the direction of your goal. But here's something many people don't understand. Momentum is fragile. It can be disrupted, delayed, or even destroyed by the wrong words in the wrong environment. And that's why silence, especially in the early stages of a dream, becomes your shield. When you're just starting out, your vision is like a spark. It's small but powerful. It's enough to light a fire, but it's also vulnerable. Too much wind and it goes out. Too much noise and it gets drowned. Silence in this phase is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's choosing to build without unnecessary exposure. It's deciding to protect what you're growing until it's strong enough to stand on its own. Every time you speak about what you're going to do, you open yourself up to opinions, distractions, and pressure. People will ask questions you're not ready to answer. They'll offer suggestions you didn't ask for. Some will cheer, but others will criticize. And even though you might think their words don't affect you over time, they can. Doubt is subtle. It sneaks in through questions and concerns disguised as advice. And once it enters your mind, it starts to pull on your momentum. That's why silence is not just about secrecy, it's about focus. When you're silent, you're not wasting energy explaining yourself. You're not pausing to defend your dream to people who don't understand it. You're not getting sidetracked by applause or approval. You're simply working. And you're in that quiet space. Momentum grows. You're able to listen more clearly to your own intuition. You're able to move without interference. You're able to stay in flow. Silence also helps you avoid the temptation of performance. When you announce your goals too loudly, you create expectations. Now people are watching. They're waiting for updates. They want to see results. And suddenly, you're not just building your dream, you're trying to prove something. You start performing instead of producing. You start rushing instead of refining. That kind of pressure can force you into shortcuts, shallow work, and surface level results just to keep the crowd satisfied. But the journey to greatness requires deep work. It takes time, trial, and learning. The process is rarely pretty. There are days when you feel lost, when things break, when progress feels invisible. If you've built your momentum around public validation, these moments can break you. But if you built it in silence, you're more grounded. You can withstand the quiet struggles because you didn't promise the world instant success. You promised yourself growth. And that kind of promise doesn't need an audience. Another power of silence is that it creates surprise. There's something undeniably impactful about achieving quietly and then revealing the results. While others were talking, you were moving. While others were broadcasting intentions, you were building solutions. And when the product is ready, when the success is visible, it speaks for itself. There's no need to convince anyone. The evidence is undeniable. Silence turns your progress into a punch is strong, surprising, and impossible to ignore. This is not about being secretive out of fear. It's about being strategic out of discipline. You're not hiding your vision because it's weak. You're guarding it because it's valuable. Builders don't constantly post pictures of the foundation. They work until the structure rises, until it can be seen, used, and respected. In the same way, you don't have to prove every step of your process. Let people wonder. Let them doubt. The end result will be the answer to every question they ever had. In a world obsessed with showing off, choosing to move in silence is countercultural, but it's powerful. It gives you the room to fail, to adjust, to grow without the noise of public opinion. It allows you to develop at your own pace, to listen to your own voice, and to move with clarity. And when the time is right, you'll speak, not with empty words, but with solid results. Momentum is precious. It's built slowly and it can be lost quickly. Protect it with silence. Guard it with discipline. Let your quiet consistency become your greatest strength. Because in the end, it's not about how loudly you start, it's about how powerfully you finish. Success is the best explanation. There comes a point on every journey where explaining your intentions becomes pointless. Words start to feel empty, promises lose weight, and people stop listening. Why? Because in a world filled with talkers, most people are waiting to see who will actually deliver. The truth is simple and often hard to accept. People believe results, not reasons. They follow evidence, not ambition. And that's why success is the best explanation you will ever give. When you're starting out, you'll feel the pressure to explain yourself. You want to tell people why your idea matters, why your dream makes sense, and how you plan to make it work. You find yourself trying to convince doubters, prove your intelligence, and justify your ambition. But no matter how well you speak, how passionately you argue, or how clearly you describe your plans, there will still be people who don't get it. That's because explanations don't build belief, results do. People respect what they can see, they understand what works. You can give 100 reasons for why your business will succeed, but until it starts producing results, those reasons won't carry much weight. You can tell your friends and family that you're going to be successful, but until they see the change, they'll quietly keep their doubts. And that's okay. Your job is not to win their approval. Your job is to do the work and let the work speak for itself. When you succeed, your results will silence critics. They won't need a speech. They'll see it in your actions. They will hear it in the way your life has changed. They'll feel it in your confidence. You won't have to explain what you've been building all this time. The outcome will explain everything. The success you've earned will say more in a moment than your words ever could in a lifetime. And here's the beauty of it. Success doesn't just validate you, it protects you. It puts you in a position where people start to listen differently. When you've produced something real, people pay attention. When you've built something that works, your voice carries more authority. Suddenly, the same people who question you start asking for your advice. The ones who laughed become quiet. The ones who ignored you begin to notice. That's not magic, that's the power of visible, undeniable success. But to get there, you have to shift your focus. Stop trying to be understood and start trying to be effective. Stop trying to explain and start executing. Let your energy go into doing the work, mastering the process, and delivering the result. Every hour spent trying to prove yourself to people who doubt you is an hour you could spend making real progress. Don't trade your momentum for their approval. This doesn't mean you move with arrogance. It means you move with confidence, quiet confidence. The kind that grows not from applause, but from experience. The kind that comes when you faced resistance and kept moving. When you failed, learned, and adjusted. When you've done the work over and over again, even when no one was watching. That kind of confidence doesn't need defending. It just shows up and lets the results speak. Understand this clearly. People have the right to doubt what they cannot see. But you have the responsibility to keep building anyway. You owe no one an explanation for your grind, your vision, or your process. What you owe yourself is the discipline to finish what you started. Because when it's finished and it works and it changes things, there won't be anything left to argue. Let your story unfold in actions. Let your journey be documented in results. Let your success do the explaining. You don't need to shout from the rooftops. You don't need to convince the world at every step. Just keep moving. Keep building, keep growing, and when the time comes, your success will make the loudest statement of all. In the end, people remember what you did, not what you said you would do. They respect execution, not explanations. So be relentless, be consistent, be patient, and above all, be silent until you're undeniable. Because the world doesn't need more words, it needs more proof. And success is the one explanation no one can argue with.